And now it's my pleasure to introduce our morning kickoff speaker, James Curleigh with Keen Footwear. James is the President, CEO, and Chief Recess Officer of Keen Inc., a manufacturer of hybrid footwear, bags, and socks. Under James' leadership, Keen has more than doubled its growth, has expanded distribution to over 60 companies, and established a U.S. manufacturing facility. His passion for the brand and its fans is exemplified through Keen Recesses Back, an initiative to re-energize adults around the world through daily play breaks. James began his career at M&M Mars and later served as CEO of Solomon North America. And in his spare time, he serves as the chairman of the board of trustees for Waterkeeper Alliance. So join me in welcoming James Curleigh.
Robert, thank you. Oh, here we are. I think we need a little waker-upper. Join me if you know the words. How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. A little something for the start, come on. So, well, what if life was that simple? What if the answer was truly blowing in the wind? What if I said to you, hey, I understand you're a dynamic solution provider for the environmental intersection between what companies are trying to achieve and solutions for the future to balance economic sense and environmental solutions. And you said, yeah, I've got the solution. The answer is blowing in the wind. Imagine how simple the world would be if we just listened to Bob Dylan all day. But it's not that easy. Today, as we thrust ourselves into this century, the challenges that we're faced, I think, are monumental. And I have a young family, I have 3 young kids, and I often get a chance to reflect the age of Keen. Our company is 8 years old, and I have an 8-year-old son, so I get a nice spectrum of balance of what an 8-year-old thinks, how an 8-year-old considers, how an 8-year-old asks questions, and how a company considers, how a company asks questions, and how it's future focused. So that's my balance point to try to give some insight into a young company that's growing up fast in this century. And it struck me the other day, I was with my kids, and invariably you get to things like the alphabet. A is for this, B is for that, C is for that. And it struck me when we got to C, and for kids, C is for cookie, right? It's all about the cookie. And it struck me that in our world, in my world, the letter C is super relevant. And all of my challenges, which start with C, start with a C. Issues like culture, continents, consumers, channels, competitors, currency, complexity, and words like compliance matter. And so when I bucketed all those C's, I literally made a list, and I got to about 17, and I thought, wow, that's a pretty comprehensive list. As a young company, if we could just focus on the letter C for maybe a month, 2, 3, maybe a year, and fix it all, we'd be in pretty good shape. But it's just not that easy anymore. And the one word that struck me that I circled in that entire list, my kids circled cookie, but I didn't do this with my kids. I'm not that crazy of a dad. But what I did do was I circled one word, and that word is complexity. And in today's world, to succeed, I've seen great ideas, I've seen great initiatives, I've seen great energy, I've seen great team, I've seen experience, I've seen attitude, I've seen injection of capital, i.e. money coming into ideas. But without the ability to manage the complexity required to succeed today, those are just ingredients. And ingredients are not the only thing necessary to succeed today. You have to figure out the recipe. And so what I'd like to do in the next 20 minutes is take you on a little journey of how a young company got started, how it was born this century, our little journey of where we are to date, and some of the decisions we made, how we made them, some of the mistakes we've made along the way, but more importantly, how we're a future-focused organization. And as an 8-year-old today, we very much believe in focusing on the future, challenging ourselves to be pioneers. So let me take you on this journey, and then we'll wrap it up with a few comments at the end. So what do you need to know about me? First thing, actually the only thing you need to know about me is my dad was a general in the Canadian military and served 30 years as a peacekeeper. My mom is essentially she's a free spirit from Halifax, Nova Scotia, and somewhere in the middle you get a guy like me. Military free spirit right here is how I roll. So not afraid to be direct and take that stance, but at the same time understand that there's a flow involved with the way the world works, and that's probably all you need to know about me. The other thing you should know, because someone will spot this guy, I do have an identical twin brother. He lives in Vancouver, Canada. Any Canadians in the crowd? Okay, one. Okay, so you'll spot him and say, I think I met you in Portland, and then he'll give you the whole story, and it's on. So let's go into Born This Century. Basically, a little background on Keen. We were born in 2003, and the story was like this. It started with a very interesting vision at a time when product innovation was seemingly coming at a stall point. If you think about the industry that we operate in, footwear, the 80s was all about athletic. Do you remember white shoes and athletic and Nike and Reebok and all those brands? The 90s came in, and the notion of footwear, again, for lifestyle was really driven by action sports. Action sports meaning skate shoes, surf influence, everything from flip-flops to skate shoes, etc. We come into this century, and it's kind of wide open territory. There's lifestyle, there's fashion, there's sporting goods, there's different dynamics coming from Europe in terms of trends, there's US trends that are trying to figure out what the future is going to be, and little old Keen comes out with a very simple design challenge. And the design challenge, let me reach in here, was can a sandal protect your toes? And so I think it's important, the first lesson we learned was starting off not with just necessarily a vision and a mission, but a very specific point of entry to say, what isn't out there? Who here considers themselves to be in marketing? Anyone in marketing? Well, you all are. If you don't put your hand up on this, then... So if you're in marketing, what traditional marketeers talk about is find out what the customer wants and answer that want and desire. Give the customer what they need. As a young company, Born This Century, I don't think customers or consumers know necessarily what they need. I don't think 100 years ago anyone sitting out there in the prairie said, I think I need refreshment through brown sugar water in a red can. And maybe you should name it Coca-Cola. And if you do that and then put a vending machine 100 years from now so my great-grandkids can actually participate in this refreshing beverage, brown sugar water is what I need. No, I guarantee you nobody asked for that. And innovation often occurs, and it should occur, when you don't give the customer what they need, give them what they didn't know they wanted, and when they get it, they can't live without it. Think of that. Give them what they didn't necessarily know they wanted, but when they get it, they can't live without it. Think iPhone. Think Google. Think about the products you use every day that if they didn't exist, and you probably didn't phone up those individuals and say, if I could just type a word in 0.08 of a second get all the information back, that's kind of what I'm looking for. And name it something that I don't really know what it's called, Google. I guarantee you no one asked for that. But when you get it, you can't live without it. So this was our simple design challenge. Can a sandal protect your toes? And if it could, would it matter? Think about what happened in the 70s in the car industry. Can a truck be a car? The El Camino came out. Didn't work so good for those guys at the time, right? So we got high-risk situation going on here thinking we can create a product that can protect your toes and breathe at the same time. So the answer was the Newport. This was the first shoe we came out with right here. Continues to be in our range. Anyone here own a pair of Newports? Good, good, good. So you know what I'm talking about a little bit. So this was the first product, still the best-selling product for Keen. And from that point onwards, we created the DNA. We started with simple design challenges. We put elements of functionality, comfort, durability, something different when you see it on the wall. And also, by the way, I see a few of you in the room going, that is quite arguably the ugliest shoe I've ever seen. Who here would never wear this shoe? And it's okay to put your hand up. That's fine. But what happens is, with brands come out and products come out, if you try to meet the middle ground of what consumers think they need, you end up in a place called middle ground. And middle ground, in my opinion, means mediocrity. You have no opinion, you have no DNA, you become a commodity, you then chase price, You then make decisions that are not in the best interest of potentially the environment or your stakeholders, and you end up playing a commodity game that chases you down a path that you say you would never go down. And you find yourself there. Keen is not in that position at all. We're in a position where we hold on to design challenges, we have a DNA that matters, and we're polarizing. We get that those that know Keen and like Keen really like what we do, and there are those people that wouldn't wear this product. There's lots of products out there that are succeeding today as a result of being polarizing, having an opinion, and holding true to the DNA. We then call this the Newport effect. After the last 8 years, we've gone on to make hiking shoes, we've gone on to make men's, women's, kids, bags, socks. We do products specifically for markets like Japan and South America and Australia, etc. So after just 8 short years, we now make about 500 styles per season, so spring, summer, fall, winter, and that's where we've gotten to. But of more importance, I think, is the approach we took. And I want to just give a little insight into how we started from a simple design challenge in a shoe into thinking about how we're going to act as a company. And this might inform you a little bit of how, when you start dealing with solutions for companies, either branded companies or not, this is what's important to us. So we start off and say, let's redefine the outdoors. What's the outdoors? It's any place without a ceiling. If you think about most market entry points, they're way more specific. Our product is designed specifically to climb Mount Everest and get you up safe, keep you warm and dry, and then get off. And if it's good enough for the guy to go to Mount Everest, it's good enough for you mere mortals. That's not the game we play. We say the outdoors is a community, and we can invite everyone in, but outdoors is any place without a ceiling. It could be in the city, it could be around Mount Hood, it could be out on the coast. So it really broadens our market perspective in terms of usage for the shoe. We don't tell you what to use it for, we just tell you this is a hybrid shoe. Hybrid means versatility. Hybrid is about multiple dimensions coming together to give you something that you think will work better than what you have today. Redefining the outdoors was the first step. The next step was, let's be inclusive. I think one of the challenges in today's world is the world's become over-segmented. As marketeers, they've gone way too far to the extreme of segmenting a market to the point where the market might not even exist. And so we say, let's be inclusive. Let's invite everybody in, and let's make sure that the way we speak to people is not intimidating. We say, come on in, from a 1-year-old to a 91-year-old. We tend not to chase teenagers because you know what happens there? You're hot 1 year, and if you're ever the hottest brand with teenagers, in about 2 years, you're probably a brand that does that. So we tend not to chase the teenage crowd, but after college and around college, right up through to the functional needs of anyone in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, our shoes have found a very, very good place in the closets, garages, and trunks of cars. So hybrid innovation, this is the heart of what we do. And some of you might be saying, oh, that's an interesting word. I see what you did. You took the notion of what hybrid cars are doing, you put it on a fancy PowerPoint, and then you're going to tell us about hybrid innovation. It's true to who we are. We took multiple dimensions, protection and breathability, and said, could that come together as a hybrid solution and create original hybrid footwear? We make products, we make socks, and we started challenging ourselves to say, every sock that's made is basically symmetrical. Who here even had to consider which was their left or right sock this morning? Anybody? What if you had gloves on this morning? Would you consider which was your left and right glove? Why wouldn't you consider it? Why wouldn't socks be made left and right? Asymmetrical. This way. So your big toe fits properly, your little toe fits properly. What if we could create a product like that? So hybrid innovation was a simple design challenge. Can we make socks fit better? And by the way, can we make them with material that's sustainable? And by the way, can we make socks that fit better, left and right, offer anatomical support, give you the right materials for sustainability, and make them in America? That's a little bit of the thinking of hybrid innovation for Keen. We also looked at waste material. We were in Asia. We do make some product in Asia. I'll talk a little bit more about that. But when we were in Asia, it was really interesting. Have you ever seen that National Geographic ad where you see a kid on a bike with a huge pile of waste strapped onto a bike and it's going off into the murky sunset? You ever seen that photo somewhere in your mind? We saw that live. And we were in Asia, and it was all this material that they used to make haul bags, you know, just to haul 50 pounds worth of stuff around. We stopped this individual and said, where are you going? They said, no, I'm not stealing it. We said, no, can we see that? We took that material that was literally headed to a landfill, We took it to one of our small bag factories that were looking for different solutions. We were, and we made bags out of it. Fully featured bags. We found aluminum that needed to be repurposed. And you can see here closely, this is all rubber from a tire. That's an actual patch right there. And so everything in this bag, fully functioning bag, was all heading to a landfill. It's called our Harvest Collection. And think about what an 8-year-old does when they want to build a fort. They don't say, Mom, Dad, we need to go to Home Depot. Here's my bill of materials. Here's how we're going to roll. Here's my budget. Here's my credit card. And then get a few contractors to come in, build that fort, and we're all good. That's not how I grew up, and that's not how my 8-year-old grows up. He looks around for things. He's intuitive. He tries to figure stuff out. And the funny little secret that we learned along the way is more than half the cost of a bag is not in the build, it's in the materials. Good environmental sense can make good economic sense. We get lots of credit for what we do in terms of hybrid innovation, but the reality is, as a young company, we didn't start out saying, let's be the most sustainable brand on earth. We said, let's try to be smart, let's be intuitive, but we found ourselves becoming accidental environmentalists. People would come up with ideas and we'd say, yeah, I think we can try to do something there, and we would turn it into a product or an idea and move it forward from a hybrid innovation point of view. If you ever have a chance to come to our office, most of the furniture is repurposed, not necessarily because we said, let's value sustainability and repurposing. We didn't have enough money for fancy furniture. We have a friend of ours up in the gorge who pulled an old log out and milled it and made tables for us, and we traded for shoes. I'm pretty sure that's how they did it in the good old days. The barter system, remember that? That's what we try to think about as 8-year-olds at Keen. Hybrid innovation. Giving back, super important for us. As a young company, remember when the tsunami disaster hit, we were about a 1-year-old company and we had $1 million marketing budget. $1 million is a lot of money for a young company. And with that $1 million, we could either spread a little bit of it out around the world and get our message out. Tsunami hits and we said, what's the right thing to do? Let's put it through this, and let's put our money where our mouth is, and if we're in charge, let's support what's needed right now and hope that it's a good decision. Arguably the worst business decision we ever made, take $1 million and put it elsewhere, from a brand decision, was the best thing we've ever done. Because it set a course for us to consider about giving back, and not just on a reactionary crisis basis, but on being proactive. We've worked with the Conservation Alliance, with the Waterkeeper Alliance. We've worked with the Forest Park Conservancy, not to react, but to be proactive. And we're seen as one of the young companies who stand up and say, maybe small steps from one little company and one team can start to make big differences over time. And that's how we've approached it. So 8 years later, we're in about 60 countries. We've managed some complexity, we've made some mistakes along the way, but today we stand, because of a pure vision, because of product focus, and because of our balance of how we've approached coming into this market, we're succeeding today. But the Keen philosophy is probably the most important thing that sets our culture apart. And I think one of the challenges that I think we all collectively face is how to manage different cultures. And I don't just mean by country or by continent, by cultures of businesses that you intersect with. You might have a specific scientific point of view. You walk into a world of artists, science might not matter. Alternatively, artists need to understand that art is interesting, but sometimes without the appliance of science, the ability to actually prove something and move it forward for a solution might not be there. So understand culture is something very, very important to us, but we don't try to talk about it. We try to live it through a notion called hybrid life. We made original hybrid footwear. We said, well, who would use this? And we said, well, easy, just like an 8-year-old would say, people who live a hybrid life. Anyone know what that is? Not so easy to explain, but guess what it is? It's encouraging people to create, to play, and to care. Who here wants to create something interesting in their life? I do. Who here wants to play just a little bit more because the world's a little too serious? Mount Hood out there, I hear you, I'll be on the mountain in a while. And then what about this notion of caring? Caring about the people in the community around you, to really think about the decisions you make and the impact you make today on future generations. That's the mode we're in today as society. So hybrid life is our philosophy that we stick to. Keen simple strategy, all we're trying to do at our business is we're trying to do these 3 things. Anyone know what that Danish word means? Meatbøk? This is probably, if you take nothing away from this morning, remember this word. Bring it back to your business. You can have it for free. All right, Meatbuick. Everybody say that. Meatbuick. Meatbuick. You can sound really European when you say it. You know what it stands for? It's simple. It stands for make it easy to do business with Keen. Just think of that for a second. If you are a company in the first 10 minutes, you're seen as a not so easy business to work with, the chances of you being able to take that next step with that customer is probably going to be awkward. I would argue that we're in a world where you have sophisticated science at your disposal, you have really sophisticated solutions here. Enter the element of simplicity on the front side and have sophistication on the back. That's how we speak at Keen. Anyone know what a mullet haircut is? Let me tell you about the Keen mullet. I kind of am rocking it right now. Keen mullet is about simple on the front, sophisticated in the back. The best brands on earth have figured that out. Apple, simple on the front, sophisticated inside. Google, simple on the front, algorithmically the most sophisticated tool for consumers that they use every day. For your business, I would truly encourage you to stay simple on the front side, but be sophisticated on the back. It's a very, very important lesson that we've learned. When simplicity is less clear, solutions become less impactful. Growth, we're trying to grow in a smart way. We've got momentum on our side. Every year we've grown. We don't take it for granted. We're working harder for growth. And then finally, balance. Show me a business that gets out of balance, and I'll show you a business that's out of balance. It's my Karate Kid move, when you just stay balanced. If you can't do that, you see businesses that rely too much on one thing, or they haven't kept pace with trends, and they get out of balance, bad things tend to happen. So I spend a lot of my time trying to balance the dynamics of categories, of domestic to international, of sourcing balance, of gender between men, women, and kids product, of spring, summer, fall, winter, seasonality dynamics. It's very important that you look at your business in terms of what is the balance scorecard for your business as business metrics, and then elevate it beyond that into some of the environmental dynamics as well. The brand goals are simple for us. We're trying to tell more people about our little story. We're trying to make sure that we bring hybrid life to life in an impactful way, and we're trying to make sure that we stay balanced in terms of our approach, in terms of building our brand. Similar with our business goals. So why are we in Portland? Keen was born in the Bay Area, by the way, and after about a year and a half recognized that the Bay Area was expensive. It was way more about tech than it was about the products we make. Imagine asking a designer to come down with a young family and buy a $1 million bungalow that they might have to tear down to rebuild something and say, but good luck in your future career here in California. Tough place to start a company. So immediately after about a year and a half, moved up to Portland. Why? Because this. It's the positive collision. You get all this. Portland's progressive. It's absolutely a sustainable, innovative, manageable city. It's a little weird. There's a competitive hub here. So I've been told. There's this company in what's it, Chris, Beaverton, with that little swish. I always forget the name, the swishy thing on it. And just down the road, there's the three-stripe machine, and then there's that lady, that one tough mother that was born in Portland, and she's trying to figure things out. But now these are the best brands on earth. You look at brands like Nike, Adidas, Columbia, our friends at Danner who have been making product here in the U.S., and we wanted to put ourselves as the young David amongst the Goliaths to say, can we compete with the best brands on earth? Can we access some of the talent? Can we put ourselves amongst this stage to make sure we can stand on it one day and say, we think we're doing the right things and we're very future focused. Some of those companies got into challenges in the 90s. Remember our friends at the Swoosh. Remember what happened in the 90s in factories? Compliance issues. They got into trouble. Trouble meant noise. Noise meant consumers reacted. So Nike reacts. What does Nike do? It took a little while. They figured things out. But I can tell you today, Nike, as a custodian of the environmental dynamics for the future, are doing more in footwear than all footwear brands combined. You might not see it. You might not feel it. It might be strange for you to say, I can't believe the CEO of Keen just said that. But it's true. They have a team of about 60 people working on corporate social responsibility. And Mark Parker, their CEO, is taking it so seriously, it's ingrained in the culture. The difference is, they came at it originally from a fear-based position. we got caught, this can never happen again, let's make sure it doesn't. That's their starting point. Little old Keen, we come into this century, we didn't get caught doing anything. We're just future focused. What's the right thing to do? We asked ourselves. So our starting points were different. But I can tell you together, we're working with the industry to move things forward in areas like establishing an eco-index, not waiting for legislation and compliance to tell us what to put on our box. As an industry, we're putting our waste, our energy, our water dynamics into practice through our coding. It's not there yet, but we're working. Chris has been on the working council, the Eco Council, to try to drive this forward. With other brands like REI, have you heard of them? So we're really collaborative, and that's probably one of the notions of Born this Century is collaboration is okay. So really, Portland is a hybrid life city. That's where we get to. So if we're the hybrid life brand, and Portland's a hybrid life city, why wouldn't we do this? Why wouldn't it be good for us to be here? And I can tell you, we love Portland. We're in the Pearl District. We have a little store. We're taking more office space. We have a factory, by the way, and I want to talk about that in a second. How much time? 10 minutes? Oh, phew. Let me have a little break. Yeah, good. So let's talk about manufacturing. Anyone here in the manufacturing business? So is anyone here trying to wrestle with the dynamics of sourcing for the future to try to balance quality, costs, transportation, delivery, customs, duties, intellectual property containment? Any of that sound familiar? There's a lot in there, Chris. We got a lot of stuff going on in that one. But it's happening to us. We do produce in Asia. We do produce in the Dominican Republic. We produce products around the world. But as we're looking at Asia, specifically at China, what we're recognizing is there's a force to be reckoned with there. There's a market force of over 1 billion people that we can look at to sell our products, but equally, there's the dynamic shift in terms of sourcing. Wages are going up. Automation and innovation over there is not keeping pace with what it should because wages have traditionally been low. So when you have super cheap wages, there is no incentive to automate or to innovate in terms of machinery. And when you get that, you also have some quality standards that start getting a little foggy in terms of wage dynamics, no innovation or automation, quality starts to slip, commodity prices go up, material substitution happens, competitiveness happens, intellectual property starts getting spread too thin. You start seeing counterfeit. I mean, first time we saw a counterfeit Keen, we're like, we made it. Someone's copying us, and then a minute later we're like, now what do we do? So one of the things we did do, and I found myself increasingly working with factories, and they would tell me, oh, Keen, you don't understand. You don't get commodities, you don't get supply chain, you don't get timing, you don't get materials, you don't understand the overheads, you don't understand the governmental dynamics on factories. And we kind of sat there and said, well, we think we do, but maybe we don't. We came back here 1.5 years ago and said, what's the best way? What would an 8-year-old do if he was told he didn't know enough about something? You don't know how to build a go-kart. You sure? So we built our go-kart. We built a factory on Swan Island. You know what we did? We said, let's take advantage of the most modern day machinery in terms of automation and innovation. We worked with a German company called Desma. We have what's called a direct inject process, which basically uses no glues or adhesives. It uses liquid PU. You have an outsole that you can source from anywhere in the world. So the notion of Keen being into global sourcing is very real. We can source our uppers from around the world, anywhere from the US over to India. Instead of relying on just one country or one partner, we now, as a result of having a factory here, have global sourcing solution options. We have a direct inject factory. What would typically take 200 people on a line in Asia to do, we can do it with 20 people. We can capacity service with running shifts. It's a clean environment because there's no glues or adhesives. We keep all of our intellectual property right here. It doesn't get dissipated out across different factories. We don't deal with any duty dynamics because last thing I checked, when you build product here, there is no duty to yourself. Guess what? Most of our products, 70% of our business is done in the US. Imagine this product on a first-class ticket halfway around the world costs money. So when you put transportation and duty and environmental dynamics into play, global sourcing solutions, automation, doesn't it make sense to make product here in America? Don't you think? I mean, that's why we're doing it. It's not just to fly a flag and say, we're proud that we build in America. Are we proud? Absolutely, we're proud about that. but it makes good economic sense. It truly does. Now, there are some factors to consider. You can't be the low-cost provider and built in America, last I checked. We can't sell our products at the lowest cost and compete with commodity pricing. So guess what we did? We thought about a category that could command a higher price. The very first product we made in our built-in America factory on Swan Island was this. It allowed us to think about getting into the industrial business. We're known as the comfort guys, the durable guys, the quirky, interesting Keen company that seems to do good things. And we said, why wouldn't we make product for those that need toe protection the most? A lot of our fans would say, I love your Newport, I wear it on the weekend, it's what I go to the beach in, it's how I barbecue. Come Monday morning, I need toe protection for real. Steel, composite. I need anti-slip, I need support. We got into this business, utility, our industrial division, a year ago. The very first product we made was this, the Portland boot. So all of a sudden, our made in America, built in America journey was so substantiated. If you look at this product, there's no glues in this. PU, we can make shoes in about a minute and a half once it starts. Automation meets the Keen factor. So let's do a twist on the vision. Let me close with this. So you understand design challenge, you see a little bit of our journey, some of the challenges we face, but at the end of the day, this matters also. Here's a twist on the vision. What if we began with a pure vision that said, a business challenge, a simple business challenge? Can you grow a business, improve profitability, and maintain momentum? So I think as good as our story is, and as much as we've challenged ourselves, at the end of the day, we are a business. We're building a brand. If you have a CEO, a president, or if you own a company, this is probably a question you ask yourself all the time. Gosh, how can we grow? You're here to find ways to grow. How can we be more profitable? And how can we keep some momentum going in this notion area of sustainability and doing the right things, but also making a living out of it? And we think the answer is yes, you can meet that business challenge. We've built a brand centered around a positioning and a philosophy of hybrid life to create, play, and care. We've got a business that through the decisions we've made have consistently grown over 8 years through category expansion, country expansion, through marketing, through business development, through ideas, through product. We've grown our business. And we've got believers. We've created a fan base that are happy to join us on this journey, and they wonder what's next from Keen. When you make a mistake, they're very quick to tell you, whoa, 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 that's not what we expect from Keen. I have personal relationships with our fans that will call me. They find ways to get me, and they tell me when they think that we're going off course, which we love. And we move on. We fail fast forward. So I'll close with this. Oftentimes, science allows us to look at things differently. And I know most of you are in the appliance of science business, and I think that's great. But sometimes we get to a position where science tries to predict. And by predicting, you sometimes find yourself in a channel or a path that might not lead you to the right place. By the way, I'm a huge believer in science, just to be clear. And I love studying the notions of what's going on in the world. But at the same time, if we spend all our time predicting what's going to happen, what if it doesn't come true? What if things don't happen in the way we predicted? However, if as a young 8-year-old company, you're busy creating things, creating a factory, creating a business, creating a market, creating products, creating ideas, then your ability to predict gets offset with your ability to create. So I would challenge you to don't just try to predict the future, get busy creating it. Thanks.